Radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
All right. Welcome, Fade to Black. How you doing? How you doing? Today is Monday, August 18th, 2025. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Let's do this, man. Yeah, here we go. Kicking off another amazing week here on Fade to Black. I know I always say that, but how do you do it? Well, you just try to do better than you did the week before. And that's always been my goal. And then we have weeks like this. Check this out tonight. Suzanne Ross is here for the first time. Been trying to get Suzanne on the show for years. It's happening tonight. We're doing Souls in Simulation tonight. Tomorrow night, Riz Burke is here. Also, we're going to be covering simulation, living in a simulation. Wednesday night, huge show. Dahlia Burgoyne joins us. Been talking about Dahlia and meeting her and what I saw from her personally on stage at the Psy Games. She is going to be with us on Wednesday night. Mind Sight Without Eyes. Yeah. Woo. Big show. But then how do you top all of that? Well, then we head to Thursday. Trevor Grassi is here. And Trevor and I have been trying to get him booked on the show for a few years now. We are going to be talking about his team and the breaking research they have been doing with the SARS project underneath Giza. Huge show on Thursday night. Huge week here on Fade to Black. Oh, man, it's good to be me. It is. It's really good to be me. All right. I have 5 major events coming up. I have the Conscious Life Expo, all of this in 2026. I have the Conscious Life Expo, February 20th through 23rd at the LAX Hilton. I'm hosting it again. I think this is year number 12. It might be 13. Very excited about that. Right after that, the Contact Modalities Expo, May 1st through the 3rd, 2026 in Delavan, Wisconsin at the resort, at the Delavan Lake Resort. After that, Contact in the Desert, May 28th through June 1st, 2026. Tickets available this Thanksgiving Day. Then I head over to the United Kingdom for the Monty Python Tour of Scotland. That is August 1st through the 9th, 2026. I come back from that and then head south to Peru and Easter Island with Brian Forrester. And that is November of 2026. I don't have the firm dates yet, but when I have them, I will pass them along to you. The links for everything that I am doing are in the description below. All right. Here we go. Kicking off another week here on Fade to Black from the blazing heat of the Mojave Desert. Tonight, Suzanne Ross is here. I've known Suzanne for a long time, and we've always talked about doing a show. And I thought she had done one until she corrected me a couple of weeks ago. She goes, I think your memory, Jimmy, I think your brain. I said, really? Well, we've got to get that done. So we are doing that tonight. We're going to be talking about the soul, source, consciousness, what is going on out there, how space-time gets involved with this, dimensions, timelines, and all of that. Now, all of it to tune in our source self. All of that and much more. She's an author. She's a speaker. She's an event producer. We're going to be talking about that tonight as well. She is the founder of the Sedona Ascension Retreat, huge event out there in Sedona. And now she's doing stuff down in San Diego, which will also be happening next month. We're going to talk about that and all of that and much more tonight on the show. And I would like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black, Suzanne Ross, and she's right there. What's going on, kid?
Jimmy, here we are, finally. Yay.
In the interest of transparency, we really did have that conversation. What do you mean you haven't? No, Jimmy, I haven't. And I was so, I really enjoyed the show that we did. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was amazing.
Maybe it was a dream, or maybe I forgot. There we were at Psy Games, and wow, just hearing your guests this week. I know you had on Sarah Bressman last week. This week you're having on Riz and Dahlia. They're all going to be at my event in San Diego next month. You're having them all on for that reason, right?
No coincidence there. No coincidence. But Riz is on the show all the time. And Sarah's on the show all the time. Very excited about Dahlia. And you were there. You saw my reaction there on stage. I think I passed out at one point. I think she was up there. And that was pretty incredible. That was pretty incredible. It was, we're going to move on in a second, but what was so incredible about Dahlia is now I've seen many times Superhuman and with Caroline Corey, of course, which is a great film. And when we talk about these subjects, it's such a great source for everybody to just go and see and get a real primer on what may be happening and some of the science behind it. But anyway, but people see that film and they back up and they go, I don't know. Okay, it's cool, but really, I was on stage this far away from Dahlia. And you know that. I was standing right there. And Suzanne, I was looking for bullshit. I was not that was my job. I was hoping for it because that's easier for me to understand than the phenomena, right? Where I'm not losing my mind. And wow.
She was accurate. Accurate
100%.
Every time, spot 100%, on.
100%.
And then her daughter, Lidu, describing images that she cannot see behind her. Exactly.
She
like the fish on the water, right?
No, that was my question. That was my question. That came out of my head. And we wrote it down on a card. Now, and only, it was such an obscure question. I can't remember what it was. It was something like, what is in a bank? Or something like that, something like that. And when she wrote down the answer and I'm watching it, she tapped it out. What?
Right.
Now, because in a film, look, this is the truth. When you're seeing it on TV or you're watching a documentary, you're not there and you're thinking, oh, this is trickery. This is the producers. This is done in editing. This, if I was there, I would know. That's what you say to yourself. Well, I was there. I was right there, and it was my question. And then we brought up somebody from the audience, if you remember, and did a question. Again, totally arbitrary and random. Wow. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So anyway, to have her on the show, it's going to be very, very special. She has a gift, and so does her daughter. Her daughter is beautiful.
Yeah, wow. She's a sweetheart.
I felt amazing soul.
So blessed that they said yes to being at my San Diego Transcendence Retreat next month, Jimmy. Oh, and I got to spend time with Dr. Diane Hennessy. We went to lunch, then we went to dinner later that night. She's brilliant. She founder of the telepathy tapes. So yeah, all of that is very exciting. Dahlia and Lita will be at my event next month, and Diane Hennessy will be at my Sedona Ascension Retreat with Dahlia and Lita in March of 2026. So I'm all over this telepathy and mindsight. Witness it, It's real. It's mind-blowing. It proves our own superhuman potential, because what they're saying is anybody can do this. If we set our minds to this, we all have these gifts and abilities. It's just theirs are more developed. And so, and we know this. I set my mind to becoming a channeler way back, I don't know, 12 years ago. I don't claim to be a channeler now, but I was able to do channeling when I set my mind to it, when I applied certain tools and techniques that I had learned, and suddenly there I am speaking with an accent. You know, things are coming through me that I didn't know prior to that channeling. So it's just because I took the time to learn specific tools and techniques, apply them, and there I am tuning in. So I think we all have these gifts within us if we really were to practice, develop, and refine them.
Where does, because you're tapping into, well, the word that we use today, which may be accurate and maybe not, it's just what we have in our vocabulary, okay? Source is what is used, right? We're tapping into source. And okay, all right. Not sure if that's the correct word. If we're 1,000 years from now, we'll have another word for it, right? I don't know. But it seems that somewhere resides a network, souls, our consciousness, where everything stays and is connected. I don't know where this place is. Where is it? Where
At the
where
core
does
of creation. Yes. So what really got me interested, let me back up a little bit on that though. This is what really got me interested in that, this thousands of pages of the Urantia book, because it just lays out the structure of creation, the structure of the soul, how this whole space-time game works, right? And so they talk about there is a source universe at the core of creation. I don't know how familiar you are with the Urantia book, but I dove in with both feet and just read paper after paper after paper. And I reference it quite a bit in my book, Rise Up, because it is an advanced, book that a lot of people aren't going to sit down and take the time to read these thousands of pages. So I took certain excerpts out, kind of simplified it and explained it. But it does say that at the core of creation, there's this source universe. It's the central universe where everything is settled in the eternal now moment in its divine perfection. Now, at the core of the central universe is the paradise core. And the paradise core is sort of a bridge between eternity and infinity. So infinity has no beginning and no ending. Eternity has a beginning and no ending, right? So there has to be a beginning. And so the infinite source flows into eternity. And that's why it's endless and ever expanding, because the source is infinite, right? Now, the source is the one infinite creator. In this central universe created by this one infinite creator, everything is in its state of divine perfection. So this one infinite creator starts by creating the Trinity itself, expressed in three as genderless, but Father, Son, and Spirit. Okay. And then from there, it expands into 12, the three expressed in all four directions as all four elements, like you might see in the zodiac wheel, right? 12 personalities of the one great self. But here in this central universe, everything is existing. They're in an existential state of just being. So it goes on to explain that they're seeking another way to know thyself. And just like the one infinite creator expanded into 12 expressions of self, these eternal souls have the ability then to project 12 aspects of themselves into what we would call the space-time game, into this opportunity to know thyself through experience, through doing, in linear timelines that have beginnings and endings, in these matrices, right, that are all encoded. We're encoded. Everything is information, and light carries information. So I became very fascinated by the way that the Urantia book explained this whole structure of the universe, Jimmy. They say there's 7 super universes, right? And each, because the mathematical expression of 3, okay, is 7. That's the complete mathematical expression. You have Father, Son, Spirit, Father, Son, Father, Spirit, Son, Spirit, and Father, Son, and Spirit. That's 7. So each one of these 7 super universes is an expression of one of those, starting with the Father, Son, Spirit, and then the Father, Son, the Father, Spirit, the Son, Spirit, and the Father, Son, and Spirit. And so you advance through these 7 levels of the game in these 7 super universes. It's an evolutionary journey, right? They say that we're in the super universe of Orvanton, in the local universe of Nebadon, and our planet is called Urantia.
Right. Now, if we, I've read, I have the Urantia book, and I always, I find it fascinating, but I don't know. You can obviously answer this question for me. Is when we discuss this structure, and this structure is explained to us, we can look out into the night sky. We know that there's space out there. We know that the universe is out there. We have photographed and imaged and mapped out the observable universe to the best that we can. It's 85 billion light years across. And there's a theoretical start to our universe, which is called the Big Bang, which is now, even that is debated today. We don't even know if that's a scientific fact anymore. But putting that aside, when we discuss these things, the 7 universes, this is taking place in our mapped out observable universe, or is it in another dimension?
So, right, multiple dimensions. And in these multiple dimensions, there's certain spectrums of frequency, right? It's each of these spectrums is a resonance. And I think that's important, even with this idea of a digital Big Bang, okay? That's sort of like a new game uploaded, coming online, right? And now there's this consensus reality. And within, a universe, and within even a solar system, each planet may be vibrating within a certain spectrum that qualifies it for a certain dimensional experience, right? And then those of us who are in it are resonant with this particular dimensional experience. Now, our friend Rizwan Virk helps us to understand this in a way that only what is required for our immediate experience renders. So right now, Jimmy, here we are online, which is amazing technology. But if we were to look around the room, as far as I can see ahead that mountain, as I can see some trees over here, I can see the rest of the farm on this street. Only what needs to be rendered for my immediate experience is rendered.
That sounds like DMT to me.
You see what I'm saying, though? Like,
sounds like DMT. Sounds like DMT to me.
Because it's too much information.
Right.
To render any more than that for any given person at any point in time. So he, Riz had written game code for many years for, different companies, because I think he worked in Silicon Valley, what have you. You're all about it tomorrow.
I think he did like Candy Crush or something.
Yeah, he
One of those games.
was
Yeah,
involved in that world. But,
Yeah.
We talk about the different virtual worlds that have been created. So, like even Facebook and the metaverse, but before that there were other virtual world games that you could enter as an avatar, and in that you could choose what role you wanted to play as an avatar. Now, I've never done any kind of gaming, so I won't know the right terminology or anything, but the concept is that here you are in this virtual world, you choose the role you want to play, who you want to be, what you want to do. I think it even at some point in the metaverse, you could purchase property, you could own a business. I think you could exchange money somehow that was called something, but I don't think it's dissimilar, and neither does Riz, that, obviously you're familiar with the simulation theory that, there's ancestors, and I say the ancestors, Jimmy, are our eternal souls in the source universe, who are projecting aspects, fractals of themselves into all these different timelines and dimensions. Now, theosophy would say that our max soul potential is 144. That's 12 soul fractals in each of 12 dimensions for 144 soul aspects to make up our monad. So that's what theosophy would say. So let's say that's the case, then this gamer behind the scenes, our source self in the source universe, could be playing 144 games all at once, because that universe is settled in the eternal now moment and everything is happening all at once, right? Timeless.
Okay. When you say there's two things, there's a million things that but when you say at the center of our universe from the beginning, is that a reference to the Big Bang? And I'll debate that, and I'm not here to debate it with you, but we can. I have the feeling we will, because I think the universe is our universe. This version of it that we are in now is much, 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 much older than what science is trying to tell us. And I would lean on infinity old, like forever old. That's my take. So is your source and these 7 universes, are they, you just said that there was an end or a beginning to it, but is that beginning forever ago? Right? Like forever ago. Forever's a long time. Is that what you're referencing?
Yeah, right. But there has to be a beginning in order to start creating. So, again, back to the Urantia book, you can't create an infinity because it's beginningless and ended. In order to
my point.
Right,
Exactly
in order
my
to
point.
start creating, you have to start with a beginning, and that's eternity has a beginning but no ending, right? So you can start creating then in eternity, but that's just an existential experience of being.
For sure.
But you can
Now,
know thyself through existing and being.
Now, if we apply a linear time scale to it that we would understand in our stupid human terms, are we talking about hundreds of trillions of years?
Yes. In fact, the Urantia book talks in trillions and, says like things to the extent of there's 7 trillion local universes in these 7 super universes, right? Everything is 77777 because it's a complete mathematical expression of the Trinity, right? It's a 7, representations of the Holy Trinity. So, however, in our linear time, I would say that because creation keeps going on and on, new things are being created, right? Out of ancestor creations. So they say, for instance, whoever they are, like that we are a fairly young local universe, and that we have parent universes that created us. So you see, I think that idea of like creating, because creation keeps expanding. And so even our galaxy is considered younger than our neighboring galaxy, the Andromeda galaxy. They call it our parent galaxy. So everything, go ahead.
That we will eventually merge with. Andromeda.
Cool.
Yeah, we're headed towards each other. It's a long time in the future, and looking at something like that, what I just said, I'm not sure when we are going to blow this popsicle stand, but we will eventually. We have to leave. We have to leave Earth. It's going to be uninhabitable. Our sun is going to radically change just based on the scientific sides of it. With its helium, it's got a hydrogen core right now, but once that goes to a helium core, which will be soon, the sun is going to take up our whole sky. It's going to expand. Just imagine. So right now it's this big, right? When you look at it, size of a pea, but imagine the sun taking up the entire sky. When that happens, and it's going to happen quickly when it does, the temperature, the atmosphere is going to blow off of this planet. The temperature, surface temperature here is going to be about 2,000 degrees. Water, everything, life is, nobody will be here to see that. Okay. We will be gone. We'll be gone. And I often wonder how many civilizations out there have gone through the exact same process. That
right, come and gone.
Right.
Come and gone. Yeah. Ages have come and gone, but the information is never lost.
Never lost.
The information
that's right.
is forever, right? So then, Jimmy, I discovered this book. Ta-da! Look at this sucker.
What is that?
Another major channeled book, the Bilgi Katabi, the Knowledge Book. There we go.
That I don't have.
Okay. OMG. So, this came around, but I believe it was like the 1930s or 40s. Anyways,
something like that.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. And it's forever relevant. However, this book was channeled more recently. Now, this lady who channeled this material, Jimmy, is 102 years old. She lives in Istanbul, Turkey. They say that this site in Turkey is a major focal point for in-streaming consciousness. Now, I got so into this book, which says some of the similar things that the Urantia book says, but it explains how this entire system is totally automated. We are constantly uploading all of our thoughts, words, and actions onto diskettes. We ourselves have a coat, they call it KOTE, and our coat may be something like A.172, but it is how we are identified and tuned into, but constantly all of our thoughts, words, and actions are uploading into a system. And it's really this system through different algorithms and keywords that is able to measure our level of consciousness, our frequency, right? And it measures it and measures it and measures it, and we're observed and supervised until we may come to a point where we advance out of this particular game, or we could say this particular dimension, if you will. And right now, everybody's talking about the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension. Everybody's talking about the end times. We're coming to the end of a game, right? Here we are in the golden age. People have a choice. Are you going to go play the 3D game again, or are you going to level up and play the 5D game? Are you going to level up to the next level of the game? Well, you have to have permission to do that based on your level of consciousness. And when the automated system can see that you're ready to play the next level of the game, you've mastered this one, this reality of duality, right? And then you're leveled up. Right. But we had come to this particular.
Wait.
Okay. Back it up.
Yeah. That sounds religious to me. It sounds biblical.
Well, right. Okay. Right. Because, and I think Riz will probably bring this up tomorrow, because yes, spiritual belief systems, right? Your higher self, there's always somebody that you can tune into that's higher than you, right? And there's, higher, more advanced beings, gurus, what have you, Vishnu.
Behave, right? Be good.
Right. And there's always an instruction manual. Right? There's always an instruction manual. And this is interesting because this book doesn't just explain like the system, okay, which is super fascinating, but it also has within it all these sections that are like, be kind, be compassionate, be patient, be understanding, drop judgment, blah, da, 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 da. So it continues to give you instructions for how to win this game. That's what it's doing. Here's an instruction manual. So I would say the Bible's not that much different. Someone's watching, someone's creating, someone's judging, and here's ways to, be part of the rapture at the end times, right? I mean, it might say, well, you have to be saved by Jesus Christ, to be raptured. But, we might say, well, we believe that there's many different ways, to ascend, if you will, if you master the game, and you can become your own ascended master, maybe. But nothing's wrong. You can follow Jesus, or you can follow Buddha, or you can follow a Hindu god, or, whomever you're into, right?
You know what
Muslim,
they have in downtown
Christian,
LA?
Whatever.
You know what they have in downtown LA right now? Next to what's the train station called in downtown LA? I can't remember what the train station. Union Station. Next to Union Station, they have an extraterrestrial church just opened.
Cool.
Pews. They have pews. They do a Friday. Sermons are on Friday night. Yep. Now I'm thinking about, I might even have the founder on Fade to Black. I might have their reverend. I don't know what they call him. I don't know what he's got a name. His name is M.A. I don't know if he's a reverend, priest, whatever. But I might have him on the show. And beyond that, I'm thinking about going down there. I think I'm going to go down there on a Friday night. I'm going to get me some ET church t-shirts, right? I'm going to get some of the swag, but I think I'm going to sit through a sermon.
Absolutely. I would in a heartbeat.
It's pretty interesting. I don't know how big the congregation is. I just read an article from one of the local papers here about it. And now I know what people are thinking, only in California. You know what though? Good on them.
Right.
I'm a little jealous. I'm a little peanut butter and jelly here. It sounds like something I would love to have started, except then they would go, it's all a cult. Church is a cult leader. I knew it. His name. I knew it. So I can never do anything like that. But I would like to go down there and check it out. I want to see what the vibe is like. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I don't think they take themselves too seriously, but maybe they do. I don't know.
Is that a pun? Seriously?
Right. Yeah.
Right? Because this purple book says that Sirius, because she channels beings from Sirius. They say Sirius is the major focal point for our galaxy. It is like the headquarters of our galaxy, to where all of the in-streaming consciousness comes through Sirius, beamed on to our planet for our planetary experience. And it's supervised from there. And so fascinating.
Why is our planet important? It seems that, well, it is. We live here. My street that I live on is the most important. I'm with you on that. But it seems that a lot of channeled information, a lot of contact information that has come through, including, third and fourth and fifth levels of contact. A lot of focus is on this planet. Isn't there trillions of planets out there to help or to reach out and have contact with? Are we that important?
Honestly, I don't think we're any more important than any other inhabited planet in the entire galaxy universe. I mean, really, right? Okay. But we're focused on this experience right now. And if we reach out to some guides, whether they be spiritual guides or extraterrestrial beings, celestial, extraterrestrial, divine, what have you, they're going to focus on what's going on in our lives with our planet, right? Because that's our frame of reference, right? So they're going to tell us where we're at on our journey, what's going on with our planet. Are we at the end of an age? What do we do what happens at the end of an age?
Suzanne, that's a great answer. When I ask religious scholars and people about this, when it comes to Jesus, right? Are we the only planet with Jesus? Are we the only planet with God? Or if God invented everything and created everything, then every planet has got to be dealing with their own baby Jesus, right? That I would think we can't be the only ones, but you just gave the correct answer. That every planet is involved in source, period. That's it.
Everything is source. Everything. Light, dark, everyone, everything, all of creation is sourced from the divine, right? And I do believe in a divine plan. You've got to have faith in the divine plan, where everything is essentially divine. It's of and from the same divine source. So there's some meaning and purpose for all of existence and everyone in it, right? And the Savior Son thing, I think, is fascinating. Back to the Urantia book. It used to be the sun, S-U-N, in primitive times, that people felt was the Savior, right? And everybody would get all nervous when the sun disappeared. Is it going to come back tomorrow? And boom, there it is again. The Savior Son, right? So it was a Savior Son, S-U-N, right? And they worshiped the sun. They were sun worshipers, even in Egypt, right? Ra, the sun god. And even though that could be a being or a group, but in any case, that's how Savior, S-O-N, came about. This idea of a Savior.
That sounds pagan. That sounds
You hear
pagan.
What I'm saying? Right?
It went from it's an obvious thing. Yeah.
Right. So yay, Jesus came along as great spiritual teacher, right? Walk the earth. He seemed to perform miracles, but he himself would say, these and greater things you shall do. Don't worship me. We're all sons and daughters of God, right? Be you perfect as I am perfect. Right. So Jesus is trying to say, I'm like you. I'm a son of God. You're a daughter of God. We're all sons and daughters. We're all children of God. Right. And then you have, other traditions around the world that have, other Muhammad or, your Far Eastern traditions. And, I just think it's really important that, we honor all of our soul brothers and sisters on this planet, regardless of whom you're into or what you believe. we just honor and respect, each other's beliefs. But, since we're talking about what the possibilities are for, our reality here, it's so fascinating to read this channeled material and get these perspectives from these advanced beings in higher realms who are trying to tell us, hey, this is how, reality works.
Well,
It's an automated system.
yes. And with when you look at Urantia, or even look at Jane Roberts and the Seth material, right? And you look at it, which is amazing. So when you look at any of that material, what is different from that channel material? They call it New Agey and this and but what is different with that than with the Bible? The Bible was channeled.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yay, Jimmy. Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. There's all kinds of paranormal and UFOs and burning bushes. And, Moses goes to the top of the mountain and there's thunder and lightning. And he doesn't come back for however many days. When he comes back, he's got these, etched tablets. Right? Yeah. And the book of Revelations. Okay. Here we go. Like, I'm so fascinated I start my book, Rise Up, with Genesis, because there's 7 days of creation, right? And something happens each one of those days. It's an evolutionary, leap in each one of those days. And it goes in alignment with the 7 chakras anyways. But the other book I'm fascinated with is the book of Revelation, Jimmy. When you first read it, it sounds like someone's on acid, right? I mean, what? All of the stuff that goes down. It's mind-blowing. But what is it? It's John in a cave in Patmos.
Or in prison.
Channeling.
Or in prison. Some of his stuff he wrote while he was in prison too as well. But he's channeling that stuff.
He's channeling Jesus Christ. It's the revelations of Jesus Christ. John's channeling the book of Revelations.
Yes, he is.
There it is.
People don't know that. Where you have to. I'm not a biblical scholar, and I try
Me neither, but
I try not to talk about religion because I don't like dividing people. But what I went through is what you're talking about right now. When I was 20. I decided just one summer to read the Bible just because, right? And I had my long hair. I'm playing guitar. I'm in a heavy metal band on the Sunset Strip. I got life all figured out, right? Okay. So anyway, I start reading the Bible and I finish it. And then I flipped it over and started reading it again, right? Okay. Page 1, right? Genesis. Right? And I get about, I don't know, I'm going to guess and say quarter, maybe a third of the way through my second reading. And I put the Bible down on my bed and I went, they're friggin' talking about UFOs. They're talking about ET. They're talking about this. And I had my whole head just exploded. And nobody ever talked about this to me. And I'd never heard about this. But suddenly, now I'm picking up the Bible and I can't wait for the next page. I can't wait for the next science fiction thing that I was going to read. And I loved it. And that summer, I was in a weird space about not only religion and myself, but what was the rest of the world believing? What was really going on? What was the real reality out here? And it was a very tough time for me. So that's my take. And I've never swayed off of that, Suzanne. I've never swayed off of it. When I talked to L.A. Marzulli about this, he goes, dude, and he's a biblical scholar, right? I mean, he's like the real deal. He goes, dude, it's science fiction. The Bible is science fiction. Yes, that's what it's about. It's about UFOs.
It's the script. I'm telling you, that's what I think. It is written. It is scripted. This is the scripted game code story for this version of the game, Jimmy. So can I share with you? I went to stay with my mom after my dad passed. And, I was really into interviewing people on a weekly basis. I had this show called Lighten Up TV on Voice America TV, and it was an interview show. I had an interview so here I am in this little Mennonite village in the middle of, just outside of Calgary, Alberta, called Linden.
Right.
And there's the Linden Mennonite Brotherhood Church that my mom goes to. Woo. And I got nobody to interview. And I think, what if I were to interview, the minister at this, it's pastor is called at this, Linden Mennonite Brethren Church. And so I thought, before I go talk to him, I'll see if he'll talk to me, and I'm in his house. So I totally respect whatever he's got to tell me. But I thought I better brush up on the Bible, because I listened to the Bible on Audible at one point in time when I was driving a lot. But I thought, let me brush up. Let me read that, Genesis again. And so I kind of have some idea what I might be talking about. Jimmy, I wasn't, maybe a few pages in, and I went, this is the story of the Anunnaki, man. The Lord Almighty is Enlil. The Lord Almighty is Enlil. And then they've got the Nephilim, right? These giant the sons of God interbreed with the daughters of men, just like it says. These Anunnaki, they came down from the 12th planet, right? Mm-hmm. And these gods bred with the women, and then you have Enki, and you have his sister Nineveh. I was just like, this is the story of the Anunnaki.
It's trippy.
It just hit me like a ton of bricks, because I had already read, this all Anunnaki material that was written, translation of the Sumerian clay tablets in Mesopotamia and everything.
How did the interview go?
Yeah, so that was kind of interesting. It's his house, so I'm going to be totally respectful.
Sure.
But this pastor is a biblical scholar, went to Bible college and everything. And he believes that creation came into being. And I believe they say it's around 400 years before the birth of Jesus Christ. Please, I am not a biblical scholar. So if I'm wrong, and this was quite a few years ago. Anyhow, it wasn't created that long ago, right? And when it was created, everything was as is. Everything was, evolution isn't a thing. Everything came into being as it is currently. Right? When God said, let there be light.
Right.
But I'm not going to argue with that, even though I found it interesting. There's a world famous dinosaur museum miles away in a town called Drumheller. Right. So I don't know. I'm kind of thinking maybe if you were a little bit more flexible on that idea, maybe you could attract more youth into your church. But, no, it's everything came into being all at once, thousands of years ago. Okay. And they believe evolution is nonsense.
Well, if you teach your children that from their birth, then that's their belief system. It's hard. That's why today, when you have these religious fundamentalists that are out there, that their belief system is so concrete, and you're saying to yourself, I can change this person. All I got to do is give them the facts, right? That's all. All you do when you do that is strengthen their belief system. That's what happens. You're not going to reason somebody away from something that they were raised to believe. That's
what if? What if,
I don't know
Jimmy?
if there's a what if there. I don't know if there's a what if.
What if this? Consider this, though, because I've had to consider this, because look at all the millions of people who believe this. Where are they coming from? Where's this coming from? Is there something to that? So I started to think, what if it was the beginning of a new game? Because we know that there's ages, right? The Hindu ages, that we go through. And
Kali
I don't know.
Yuga.
Thank you. Yeah. Like, wait, bring up those ages. But, we know an age ends. We think we're coming to the end of an age right now, right? Game over.
Aquarius. Yeah.
So what if that was the beginning of a new game? And what if when you enter a game, because like I said, I've never gamed, but what if when you buy this game, say you buy this game, you log into the game, right? And you enter this game as your avatar. Everything is as it is.
Yeah.
There's not an evolutionary path in the game, So what if this is where they're coming from? What if they're like, guys, this was the beginning of a new game?
That's strong, Suzanne. That's strong. Well done. I'm going to tell everyone, I've known Suzanne for a long time. and what you see here, this is Suzanne in real life too, as well. She's always glowing, always smiling, and always bringing the knowledge. But that right there, and this is how Suzanne and I talk in real life too, as well. Actually, that's a very interesting take. Wow.
Right? Give some credence. Right? That way we give some credence. Take it. Have it. It's yours.
Give you any credit.
It's yours.
That's really interesting. It's really interesting.
I was invited to a Christian retreat.
Stop.
Okay.
We're going to come back to the Christian retreat.
Okay.
That sounds like a good time right there. Okay. I want to go to a Christian retreat so bad. But you mentioned something that I think is very important. I don't want to let's back up the car if we can.
Yeah.
When you go to the 7 days, right? And on the first day, and on the second day, and on the third day, and so many people, this is what I find interesting. So let's look at it. And God said, "Let there be light," right? Then on the third day, and on the fourth day, and on the right, and if you go back, as crazy as that sounds, for the first page of the Bible, the first paragraph, right, of the Bible, for that matter, when you look at that, it sounds fake. It sounds unbelievable. It sounds impossible. But yet, science wants to tell us the Big Bang happened just like that. And it was instant light and instant heat within a millionth of a second, right? Out of nothing. Sounds very similar to page 1 of Genesis. And that was written a long time. It's the Old Testament, right? That's the old stuff. But and I'm not saying one is right and one is wrong, or they're both right, or this proves this and this vindicates that. I'm not saying that, but they certainly read like the same thing, don't they? It's really trippy.
It is. And quantum physics, right, is talking about a pixelated universe. They talk about causality loops, the golden mean ratio, parallel realities, all emerging out of infinity, right? And so this idea of a digital Big Bang, I think, is really fascinating, Jimmy, and it could be game on, right?
Yeah,
game on. Let's game on. Game came online. All the lights are on your computer. Game on. Let's go.
Enter your player's name here. Right?
Yes, right. And I even think the idea of avatars, right? Like, Riz was telling me you get to choose your role in these different virtual roles. Well, I think that's exactly what you do before coming here. There's a plan. Oh, I'm going to play this role. This is my script. Okay, right. I'll take this script and I'll play it out in this lifetime. I'll choose my parents, make a contract with them. I'm coming through. Okay, you can come through if this and that, maybe there's an agreement. And then you come in and, there's a plan. You're going to play out some script. There's free will. You can go on the script, off the script, whatever. You can write you can add to the script, take away, whatever. But I think essentially there's a plan, because you came here to learn certain lessons that you didn't learn in your other lives that you need to come back and master in this one, because there is an evolutionary journey.
Before we hit the break, we've got 3 minutes. Where did the 12 dimensions come from?
This is theosophy.
That's theosophy. That's not the
Theosophy
Urantia book.
I don't know that the Urantia book did dimensions in that way and line it out as 12, but they definitely talk about the Trinity, trinitizing, and then the mathematical expression of 7. And then that's how the 7 came in.
Are you talking about Blavatsky?
Yes, Blavatsky, theosophy, and then you had Alice Bailey after that, write all these books. I mean, I don't know if you can see behind me, but I mean, I just got rid of 400 books because I moved, but I decided to keep 200 of them.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah.
Alice Bailey in theosophy, and then this Dr. Joshua David Stone, my AI, came in and wrote, different ascension manuals based on theosophy. But yeah, that's theosophy saying that, there's 12 soul fractals in each timeline, and there's 12 dimensions. So you've got 144 opportunities to be in the game, be in the space-time game, 12 avatars in each of 12 dimensions. And they call that the monad. And then they talk about, the 12 initiations, right, that you have to go through. And there's 12 chakras, there's 12 rays, they have a whole system, but I find it fascinating. And I think there's a lot to that.
Well, what's an incredible coincidence, and there are no coincidences, but in an incredible coincidence, when you look at string theory and what it proposes is that we have 12 dimensions, not 4. And isn't that an interesting number, that the math, right? The equations, the algorithms, the math is suggesting that there are 12 dimensions right now. I mean, 12 dimensions. And isn't that interesting how this community and others have been talking about this for a very long time? That's why I was asking if it was Urantia or if it was before that. So it's theosophy and Blavatsky. Okay, but it's just an interesting number to turn around and have science talk about the exact same thing, 12 dimensions.
And the Urantia book, speaking of string theory, talks about little vibrating super automatons. And that's long before quantum physicists started talking about string theory. The Urantia book talked about these super little vibrating super
every time I bring that, I swear, every time I bring that up with somebody in the fields of science that has a closed up, they act like I am just crazy, that I'm out of my mind, and they don't get it. They want to put a flag, they want to pin this on them, that they've come up with the ideas of frequency and vibration and light, that this is all a science thing that they are, working on right now. Bullshit. We've been talking about this forever. Forever. And forever, like I said earlier, it's a pretty long time, isn't it?
Right?
And they're just like, no, man, vibration, string theory, and, to create matter and to have it do its particular thing and has to vibrate it. I'm like, dude, I understand.
They're discovering it, right? They're discovering it. It's already existed long before you discovered it.
Right. I'm so happy that you have learned something, little one. Mr. Physicist, please.
Right. I really wish they would read these books. I'm like, you don't even have to take it for truth, but read it. It's going to tell you how the universe works, how creation came into being. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Urantia book is super scientific, and so is this knowledge book. Mm-hmm. And so is J.J. Hurtak's books of, Keys of Enoch, Book of Knowledge. Mm-hmm. That's super fascinating. And it's all channeled, right? I get so excited about this stuff.
I think every physicist, no, I'll take this, I'll take it back. Every politician, if you're an elected official, you have to do DMT or ayahuasca once.
There you go.
Yeah. If you're gonna get into science, if you're gonna get into physics, and you want to start talking about the multiverse, you have to do DMT or do an ayahuasca ceremony. Then you can get your PhD. Then you can go into elected office. Then you can be on the city council or run for Congress. But you have to. There are certain things that should level the playing field, and I think that's why I'm not joking about this. How much better would the world be if everybody had to read Urantia in elementary school? That
Right?
to move on into professional life, you have to go to Peru and do an ayahuasca ceremony with the shaman. I know you've done it.
Actually, I haven't.
What? I thought you and Sarah did it together.
No.
Oh, why did
No,
I?
not me.
It's one of my fondest memories about you was you and Sarah down in Peru on the top of a mountain.
No, I've never even been to Peru.
Wow.
No, it's just
Would you
love
do
it.
it? Would
But
you- would you-
I don't know. I just don't feel, Jimmy, that
You and
that's my
Sarah-
path.
You and cute little Sarah.
I mean, I
drinking
love
the
Sarah.
brew,
Yeah.
drinking the brew, running around
I just
naked in the jungle. You would
Right?
love it.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I would never, but up to this point, I haven't felt called to do that, Jimmy. I just haven't felt like it was part of my path.
You
So
want
I'm
me to
just being
make-
honest.
I can arrange this for you. We can do something. We can do a mini version here stateside. Oh, San Diego. I have a friend. We'll do it on the cruise. Yeah, we'll do it on the dinner.
Yeah, on my sunset dinner cruise at
Yeah,
my
we'll do it on
event.
the
Yeah,
sunset dinner cruise.
right. Yeah.
We'll all run around. We'll rub mud on each other. Yeah.
Out on the bay. Ay,
You
ay,
want
ay.
something memorable? We'll make it special. We'll make
Yeah.
it special.
It'll
Let's
really
take
be
our
the
break
wow
right here.
factor.
Let's take our break. Our guest tonight is with it. The one and only Suzanne Ross is with us. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Suzanne, you stay right there. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get your alerts and access to over 2,000 videos. Click that subscribe button right now. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and get the Fade to Black official podcast. 2,000 episodes, all of them commercial free for just $2 a month. Watch Into the Vortex on Gaia TV. It's Fade to Black for the screen. Simple to do. Go to Gaia.com, search Jimmy Church, or click on the link below. Follow Fade to Black on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Get all of the show updates every single day. It's now called X, but who cares? How you doing? Jimmy Church here. Special announcement. Get your Fade to Black t-shirts. That's right. Help support the show. Help support everything that we do over here. We've got 2 t-shirts. We've got 2 ways to get them. Get your Fade to Black t-shirt today. Go Backley Tappy. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and become a Fadernaut. Get a membership. That's right. Everything is commercial free. You have access to downloads, and you get to call yourself a Fadernaut. Jimmy Church Guy TV, Fade to Black, here at Machu Picchu with Brian Forster and Hidden Inca Tours. Amazing tour so far, Brian, but we're here to announce what we're going to do next year in 2026. What's going on?
Okay, November 2026, we're going to have our major tour of Peru and Bolivia, either a pre or post tour of Paracas and Nazca on the coast. And then after that, 6 days in Easter Island.
Bucket list, Easter Island. Come join Brian and I and his amazing team here at Hidden Inca Tours for Peru, Bolivia, and Easter Island. Signing out. Say goodbye, Brian.
Bye, gang.
River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon Wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com. All right. Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Suzanne Ross is with us. And we're talking about Source tonight and its influence and what you can do to connect to Source. And lots of talk about the simulation too as well, and consciousness. A very open conversation tonight. Suzanne, we've just put up the link to the San Diego Ascension Retreat website. What's the date on this?
San Diego Transcendence Retreat.com.
Yes.
So I have my Sedona Ascension Retreat in March. The San Diego Transcendence Retreat is September 20th, 27th, and 28th at the gorgeous Bahia Resort, right on the beach of the San Diego Bay. We're going to go on a sunset dinner cruise, Jimmy. And all of these people, right? Sarah Bruskman, Cosme. We've got Rizwan Burke, who's your guest tomorrow night, and Dahlia Burgoyne and her beautiful daughter, Lidu, as well as Aaron Abke, Ann Tucker, Ken Lloyd, Mark Anthony, Pamela Down, Shelley Reef, Alan Steinfeld. We're so looking forward to this event. And it's my first time here in San Diego doing an event, Jimmy. So I'm super excited about it. I hope you guys join us. We're going to give a special discount code for tuning in to Fade tonight, Fade to Black 10. Go on and you'll get a nice discount.
What is it? All caps? What is it?
There. It's not case sensitive. All smalls.
Fade
to Black 10.
10. Okay. Is the promo code. Okay, our moderators are going to get this up.
Thank you, dear.
There you go. That's really cool. Yeah, so come on down. I'll be there, and let's hang out. Super powerful group. Mark Anthony's going to be there, huh?
I love Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer. Right?
Yeah. Wow,
calls himself the psychic explorer as well. But, you know, his presentations about the afterlife, his book, The Afterlife Frequency, Evidence of Eternity, right? He tunes in to people who have passed over. So he knows that they still are, right? In another version of reality, disembodied, but, still conscious.
Right. When you get that kind of group of people together, the presenters and the information, that's one half of it. The other half is the attendees. You know, they get to hang out and just be around people that, you can just talk to, and just freedom of thought and conversation. And that's always what makes conferences so special. I really enjoy that part of it. Having somebody come up to me and go, okay, man, so last week, well, you know what? Talk to me. What happened last week? You know what I mean?
Right.
And you can't. Oh, well, some people can, but you can't really just go up to your neighbor and go, hey, Dave, so last week, right?
Right.
Can't do it.
I saw a UFO and they were aliens.
Yeah.
Although it's interesting enough that, there is quite a few people that you might not expect that you open the conversation and they're like, well, you know what?
I know.
When I was a kid, right? And so speaking of that, that's one of the reasons that I really wanted to do the Sunset Dinner Cruise, Jimmy, is that you really get a chance on the cruise to mingle with the presenters as well as all of the guests in a social environment. Also, it's just a more intimate retreat experience in general. So you have more access to the presenters, and you can visit them at their tables and chat it up with them and get to know the other guests. People make long-lasting friendships at these retreats. And so I just love it. My calling is to gather people together in this beautiful retreat environment, right? Where they can learn, they can hear, not just spiritual wisdom and knowledge, but we drop into meditations. We have sound baths, so there's experiences. Ken Lloyd's going to do activations, right? There's going to be channeling, like with Pamela Downs. Daryl Anka is going to be teaching the Bashar material. So, everybody knows Daryl Anka has been channeling Bashar for over 40 years. Can you imagine 4 decades of mind-blowing revelations? He's now compiled it into workshops. So you get to meet Daryl Anka and ask questions, explore these metaphysical concepts. His workshop's called How the Soul Creates the Physical Reality Experience, right? I can't wait to hear what he has to say about that. So yeah, we're very excited. San Diego Transcendence Retreat.com.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. Coming up in 5 weeks. 5 weeks. Very quick.
Yep.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm putting this coupon code in here, Jimmy. So
yeah, good. Because
Fade to Black 10. Because I just made it up. It's just take me 1 second here. There it is. Okay. But there we go. Done and done.
How do we start to explore the self and source? What's the process for somebody that's never, they're interested in the subject, but there's always these questions on how do we get started? What are the first steps?
So I think all of us, and I'd love to hear your story. I don't know what got you into all this, but it seems like there's some impetus, right, that sets people on the path where they become curious, right? Something happens in their life, it may have something to do with their upbringing. It may have something to do with something that transpired. Can I just tell you that for me, my journey started before I was even born, when my father had an abduction experience. Now, his story is so compelling because it dramatically altered the rest of his life. It dramatically altered the course of the rest of his life. Do you want to hear about the experience?
I do. What happened?
Okay. So my dad was 18 years old, living in a little town in Saskatchewan called Leader. His father was a teacher in this one-room schoolhouse. He and some friends were driving down a dirt road after dinner one night, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. My dad was driving, best friend sitting next to him. They saw this white light behind them, in front of them, out in the field. It's not kicking up any dust. My dad gets curious about what it might be, pulls over. The guys in the back seat are, let's get the hell out of here. But no, my dad pulls over. Him and his buddy get out, lean against the driver's side door of the car. The next thing they remember, they're sitting in the car going, all right, what are we doing? Let's get out of here. The white light races across the field, joins with a larger orange light, which then takes off into space. They're stunned. They go to the nearest farmhouse and start banging on the door. Are you seeing these lights? The woman's furious that they're knocking on her door after midnight. They're midnight? We just took off at 8 o'clock. We live down the road. That's when they realize they lost 4 hours of time. Now, the next day, my dad feels an irritation in his wrist. He's got a triangular shape, gray object under his wrist. Months later, he is recruited by National Cash Register Company in this little town. He's recruited by NCR to go work for them. Now, at this point in time, they're into cash registers, but my dad becomes a pioneer on the front lines of the emerging computer age with NCR. He gets moved first to Mount Shasta, where I was born, at Shasta County Hospital. Had quite the paranormal childhood between my father and all of the paranormal experiences that happened because of his abduction. Lights in the sky. We're constantly seeing lights. He's pointing to the sky, telling me, telling us all about the different constellations, believes there's life outside in the universe, but also, hiking through the woods of Mount Shasta as a kid. We saw fairies in the trees, trolls behind them. I kid you not. I mean, I could tell you stories, but let's move on. Then my dad was moved to Dayton, Ohio. Okay, because that's the headquarters of NCR. Who founded NCR? But James Patterson of the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which my dad spent quite a bit of time in. My dad spoke German because his mother was German speaking. When we lived in Dayton, Ohio, these German-speaking men would come to our house. They would lay out all these plans on the dining room table. My mother would usher us into the back bedrooms. I really believe that my father was part of Project Paperclip and that he was involved in some of this reverse engineering that was going on at Wright Pat. My father was very, secretive about, what he did. He was also just kind of an introverted guy. But he was brilliant, and he attributed it to what he called his alien chip. When we were old enough not to be too freaked out by the story, Jimmy, he told us about it, and he called this his alien chip, and he would hold it, and he really believed that it had everything to do with, his brilliance. He grew up in a one-room schoolhouse, and yet he, became a computer professor, and, ultimately he became a software engineer at NCR. So anyways, that's that story.
Wow. That's pretty incredible. Christina Gomez and I did a show the other day on Wright Pat and the origins of the name, Wright Patterson. And yeah, we just did that last Thursday. How interesting.
The Wright brothers.
Yeah.
And then James Patterson.
Yeah, how interesting is that you were a part of that? Wow, that's pretty crazy. Talking about Wright Pat, I know I want to get back to source, but the Foreign Technology Division there, which all of that was established right after Roswell in 1947, and most people don't know that. Now, the dating of this and the foreign technology, why establish a division like that? When we have the debris from Roswell being flown to Wright-Patterson and in 1947. So why was Wright-Patterson selected for that at that time, when the Foreign Technology Division allegedly wasn't established until a few months after Roswell? Or was it established because of Roswell? I don't have the answers to any of this, but historically speaking, the timeline of all of this is just perfect. And of course, Project Blue Book and Grudge and Sign and Project Saucer and all of that, and then you throw in Hangar 18 and the other and the Blue Room and all of these things that were established around Right Pat. But here's the crazy part. For me, until you drive around Right Pat, you don't know how big that base is. That base is freaking ginormous. And I've been on a lot of Air Force bases. I've got Edwards right out here. Edwards, Right Pat dwarfs the size of Edwards. Right Pat is huge, and it's right there in Dayton, Ohio, of all places. But it's one of the biggest bases in the world. It's huge. It's ginormous, and a lot of secret stuff goes down there, right?
Yeah. Lived in Dayton, Ohio for many years because that's where the headquarters of NCR are, right next to Right Pat.
Did you ever go to the museum?
Yes, but I was a kid.
Yeah,
I do remember it being pretty incredible. My dad used to like to take me to work. So, like on a weekend, he'd go in, and I just remember Jimmy standing in the middle of this giant room with these floor to ceiling computers. And he there was these little cards, these little punch cards. And my dad, always thought it would be cute to have like this, green and white striped paper would come out of these gigantic computers, and it would be like Snoopy. It would be like the outline of Snoopy or something, because I'd get all lit up that, I had this computer printout of Snoopy. But, back in the day, it was floor to ceiling, massive machines, right, all around you. And I just remember that from going to my dad's work with him.
Yeah, it's crazy how we've evolved into what we have today with computers. It's amazing. When I worked at Bell Labs in 1981, 82, 83, when I was there, we had a computer room. All right. And that was downstairs on the first floor. If you were one of the employees there that had a computer terminal on your desk, you just had a terminal. But anything that you typed or anything that you did, you had to go down to the computer room downstairs with a requisition and get a printout of what you were working on. You didn't have a personal computer at your desk. You had a keyboard
that was much
and a
later.
screen, but everything was downstairs with the tape, spinning and it's giant. And we had these computer operators. They would wear lab coats. That was the crazy thing. They wore white like they were doctors or something. Running around, running the computer room. I find that fascinating to where we are today. Now, okay, let's get back before we run out of time. The space-time simulation and the way that you talk about it. How does that work?
Right. And so the reason I brought up the missing time experience with my dad is because it kind of, led into this idea of receiving downloads. Here he got chipped, right? And now, he believes he's receiving downloads of information, knowledge, technology. Then in 2017, I had a missing time experience with 3 friends on my deck in Sedona. I live in a little town called Rimrock, just outside of Sedona, but it was near the Montezuma as well. And we had 4 hours of missing time in this experience. And shortly after that, I started drawing these circles with 12 circles around it. And then I would download, these were dimensions. And in each of these dimensions, who I was, what my name was, where I was, what I was doing. And so, like my father, in my missing time experience, I received advanced knowledge, wisdom, and now I have the ability to channel, interdimensionally download information. And I ended up doing multidimensional soul journeys for not just myself, but other people after that for a while. But, that's another example of, okay, now I have the ability, as many people do, as we know lots of them, who can tune in to these other parallel realities where another aspect of themselves resides simultaneously, right? It's timeless. Past, present, and future are happening all at once. And that's why, you can tune in to what's happening in another timeline. What about when you get a past life regression like our lovely friend Sarah Breskman Cosme does? How can someone suddenly experience themselves in ancient Egypt or ancient Atlantis? Because it's happening all at once. When you can tune into your source self, who is the one behind the scenes, the gamer, who's watching all of these parallel realities unfold with its avatars, right, dispersed into these different timelines and dimensions. When you can become that, then you can put yourself in that place and time as that avatar. You could also take the role of the observer and observe it and talk about it. And you could say that's what maybe some psychics, let's say, are doing. I love the way Sarah does it. The person describes it for themselves. So it's much more experiential. But sometimes you'll get someone, read and tell you who or what you were in a past life. So, so maybe they're the observer. So, when you can tune into your source self, and that's likely what Sarah's doing with her QHHT technique, is giving someone the opportunity to be the source self behind the scenes, tuning in to one of these timelines at will, through this technique. And so, and the source self at the core of creation is sourced, right, by the one infinite creator. It's really the one infinite creator who is experiencing through all of us, as all of us, right, in this experience to know thyself, in this mission, if you will, to know thyself through all these different perspectives.
I think I'm wrapping my head around this a little bit. So if I'm to understand what you are saying, that, and we hear this a lot, right? That time is, the past, present, they're all acting at the same time. So when you do see or go to what may appear to be a past life, that it's not really past, you're just tapping into it. It's still real time now, right? Am I understanding?
Yeah, simultaneously unfolding in another
Right.
reality.
Wow, that's pretty heavy. I guess it makes sense.
How else could this in the QHHT side? How else could the person be saying, "I'm here in this crystal temple, and I'm so and so"?
Yeah,
I'm having a reading on Thursday.
Yeah, have you had one? Have you?
I'm
had
having
one
it on Thursday.
First
I
time.
never had one before. First time.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to record it. Yeah, I'm going to record.
Oh yeah,
it, so.
yeah. I have the tapes of our session. Yeah, I did one with Sarah. I've only done one session, and it was with Sarah, and it was pretty incredible. I was very confused to have, although it was accurate, it was bizarre. Well, that's an assumption, but I was very confused to have my higher self, which I didn't know that's what it was. I didn't know, come in and start talking about me in the third person, but it was me. And so it was like there were three people in the room, me, Sarah, and my higher self. And I was so confused. Suzanne, on all that I love, right? So I'm under, right? I'm gone. And but what was going on in my head was I said, who are you? What's going on? And why are you talking about me to Sarah? Right? I didn't know.
I
I
love
was
it. I love it.
so confused. And it was, to hear the words as I'm speaking, um, it was fascinating. It was not me. It was me, but I
Right.
wasn't speaking with the same cadence or the same.
Mm-hmm.
I know what words I use. I know what limited vocabulary this doofus only can use, and how I speak and how I think. And
Yeah.
this higher self was like the smarter version of me.
Yeah.
And it was pretty wild. I was so confused. I really was. For a minute there, I had to back up, and she didn't tell me until we were done, and I went back and was listening to the sessions. I didn't realize what was going on until I heard it, and she explained it to me. I was like, oh, all right, all right. I mean, to have my higher self go, Jimmy doesn't know this, but, and I was like, Jimmy doesn't know what, right? What's going on here? Yeah, it was pretty wild.
This more advanced version of yourself, right?
It's pretty wild. Well, I don't know what you're going to do with, because this is tapping into source for sure. And I don't know what you and Sarah are going to do, but this is what I did with Sarah. I told her, I said, look, no agenda. Let's just do this. Let's see what happens. Let's start
Definitely.
where we start, and let's see where this ends up. Because I didn't have any issues, that I need to work
Yep.
out. Right? At least anything that I would admit to publicly. There's nothing that I really need to work out. I don't have any daddy issues or mommy issues or drug issues. I'm never going to quit smoking. So, we don't need to work that out either, whatever it is. I just don't have any. So if I don't have, and with my ET encounters in the past, and you may do this, I don't know. I didn't want to explore those. And I told her that. I said, I don't want to know. Those things are going to be left where they are. I don't want to know if I was on an examination table. I don't know if I don't want to know. I don't want to know if I was abducted. I no. So we're going to leave all those alone. That's what I did.
Yeah.
And
No, I
it
would
was-
totally do that, because as far as I'm concerned, this higher aspect of me knows what I need during this session far more than I do. I want a
100%.
higher perspective to determine what we're going to roll out here. Right? I mean, I always go no agenda. Like, I don't get readings very often. I go to all these fairs to promote my event and such. And I'm surrounded by psychics and mediums, and once in a while I'll see someone and I'll think, you know what? Maybe, let me just, it's kind of slow. Let me just go sit with them. What do you want? And I always say, I'm totally open. Whatever comes through you for me. That's what I want to hear. Like, I don't want to imprint anything on it. You tell me what I need to know.
Yeah. That's the only way that I can approach it, because I'm a little bit too public, right? Everybody knows me, right? You know what I mean? If they followed this show or followed any TV or anything about me in the past, they know where I grew up. They know this. They know how I got started. They know that. I've told every single UFO story, ghost story, everything, and my personal issues. Everything is out there. So there's not. If somebody comes up to a psychic or medium, somebody that's reading cards or whatever it may be, at a conference, and they don't know that person, that's different. That's a totally different thing. But I'm sitting down at the table, criminy sakes. What are they going to tell me that they don't already know or haven't heard? Or, you know what I mean? It's too preloaded. So I'm not going to have I'm not going to tell you anything. You shock me.
Right. And I think that's a way for legitimacy too. Like, right? I'm not going to imprint anything. You tell me what I need to know. I'll see if it resonates with me. And if they tell me something and I go, whoa, okay, that sounds legit.
Check this out. This is from Dr. Strange Doom. Okay, I'm just gonna read. Jimmy is the guy who has a UFO podcast. It's not a podcast, but that's fine. But doesn't face his own abductions. LOL. Now, that is that's a statement that is exactly what I'm talking about. So many people think that they know everything about me because of this show and everything else. I've made very public my own experiences, but the reason why I don't want to go further with them on this show is I don't want to contaminate or pollute or influence anybody else's experiences. All right? It's that simple. And by doing that, I can listen to somebody else's experiences and compare them to my own and learn from that. You know, but me putting everything out there about everything that I've experienced, it contaminates the data and it influences the data. I think that's the wrong way to go about it. That's my take. So no, I faced all of them. I'm just not going to do it in a public forum.
Right. And most people don't remember what happened during their abduction experiences unless they go into a hypnosis session or sit with a psychic who legitimately can read into what may have happened. Right.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. And so Sarah and I's, and I'm not here to disappoint everybody out there, but Sarah and I's session was an hour and 11 minutes long. We aired 5 minutes of it. Okay. There's 50 minutes of it that the world will never see. Okay. It's that simple. It's not there for public consumption. That's for me.
Right. It'd be personal and private. Yeah. Well, I hear that.
And so to say that I haven't faced or I haven't looked at or you don't know that. You don't know who I interface with. You don't know who I talk about. You just know this show. All right. So it's really that simple. But yeah, I don't want to. People ask me all the time. So I had somebody show up in my room in 1995. And I've talked about this with friends, with family, and on this show. All right. Something was there. And we had a 15-minute showdown. And people ask me, well, I'm not saying anything. I told you that the experience happened. But anything else beyond that, I'm influencing people. And I don't want to do that. I don't. But when I hear about somebody's contact experiences like that, and I listen to it, then I will compare that to my own experience. And I'll know if their experience was genuine or if there were similarities between it, that maybe they were the same ET species, or something was communicated, or something was said, something was worn, something happened. Well, I haven't talked about it. But if I hear somebody else talk about it and I haven't mentioned it, but I hear it, I go, aha. But if I say it out loud in public, Suzanne, and then somebody else says that they saw, no, I've given you that information.
Right? I see. Okay. Yeah. I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, tell me something that I don't know. You know what I mean? Surprise me.
Yes. That's going to be my approach. Yep.
Yeah. Don't let me. But, so if I do something, let's go back to source for a second.
Yep.
Right. So only I know what I know. Only you know what you know. But when source comes back and tells you something that only you know, it's different, isn't it? Right? Where you need
Yes, I hear what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the private stuff that only you know, that's only in your head. and source comes back and says this, that's the best part, isn't it?
There's the legitimacy. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So you had asked, where would someone get started? And, I would say if someone is feeling as if they want to go on a journey of self-discovery, right? That they would like to tune in to maybe other aspects of themselves, to maybe their soul's essence, their eternal soul at the core of creation, or source itself, that then they can use powerful tools and techniques to do that. Now, of course, people have been meditating for thousands of years to try to do this. And honestly, the foundation of my path was Buddhism. My sister set me on a Buddhist path after a dark night of the soul. And she took me to a Buddhist retreat, and it was all about loving kindness. And then they were saying these really cool prayers and meditating. And, I just dove in with both feet, and I read everything I could get my hands on about Buddhism. And I tried all these different meditations and trance meditations and saying these prayers, and as following this little guidebook about what to do, how to prepare. And then you drop in, one of the things was, well, you need to wash your face and hands. It's like you're expecting guests, so I cleaned the room and I washed my hands and face. And, I sat down, and I kid you not, Jimmy, I wasn't sitting there because they said it's like you're expecting guests, right? So I'm sitting there, drop into meditation. It's not 5 minutes. Well, it seemed like 5 minutes. And I feel this whoosh, 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 like 3 beings had gone past me, right? It was almost like it blew my hair back. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like 3 showed up. 3 beings showed up. And I was like, oh, how, incredibly, they came for me, these bodhisattvas, they call them in Buddhism, right? So they came to bless me. And I felt so blessed, and just kind of sat there in bliss that, these beings had come to see me. And then I kind of came out of the meditation, and it's in this kind of blissful state. And I'm walking out of the room, and I turn around and I go, whoa, like, what really happened? Were they ghosts? It kind of hit me. It's suddenly who came in my room? In meditation, it felt all blissful and blessed and all of this. But afterwards, I'm thinking, oh no, where do I have ghosts now in my house? So, I got started on the Buddhist path, and have to say that then dropping deeper into it with mantras and mudras and tantra, that's where I started channeling. And I started literally by just speaking. Suddenly I'm speaking with sort of an accent, and I'm saying things that I was curious about at the time are coming out of my mouth. I was very curious about all the biggest questions. Who are we? Where do we come from? Why are we here? Where are we going? What are we doing? What is all this? And answers started coming through me. And so it was remarkable. And then I thought, well, how do I write this down? No one is taking note. Should I record it? And then I discovered Dragon Naturally Speaking voice recognition software. You could have your computer on, and you could be saying this, and your computer is typing it. That was ideal, right? Now it's written, transcribed. And that became the source for my books, Wake Up and Rise Up, is this information that's coming through me as I open my mouth. And the answers to the greatest mysteries of creation are coming through me. So anyways, it was remarkable, really. It was like, ask and you shall receive the answers to your questions. But I had used the Buddhist meditative techniques in order to get to that place. So, there's powerful techniques. I've also found, the third eye opening. The third eye has been really powerful, igniting that Kundalini energy in the root chakra so that cerebral spinal fluid can surge up your spine. And there's a technique for that too, right? That CSF can surge up your spine, and then it's as if it goes through your third eye. And like in Egypt, those pharaohs wore that hat with the serpent sticking out, right at the level of the third eye. It's like they have opened their third eye, and now they have access to the Akasha, to all of the information and intelligence and ideas, thoughts, from all time.
Right.
And anybody can do it. If you really set your mind to it, there's tools and techniques to access source.
The first time that it happened to me, and I've had accidental journeys many times where this has happened. We don't have the time to go into this, but the first time that the first time. So we've got singing bowls. We've got 3 or 4 people that are singing with the singing bowls at the same time. I'm sitting and I'm serious. I'm just calling bullshit on all of this, right? And I'm sitting down. I was like, man, I don't want to do this. Really? All right. Come on, Jimmy, just sit. Okay, all right. So I do. I sit and I'm kind of looking at everybody else. What's everybody else doing? Okay, so I'm doing what they're doing, and I'm sitting in the grass, and I close my eyes, and the universe slapped me upside my head. Fast too, right? And this whole thing sweeps across the best way to explain it, my eyelids, and I'm gone. I'm transported. I'm somewhere else. And then I don't know how long this lasts. Don't ask me what I saw or where I was. I'm not, that's private, but it was extraordinary. Anyway, something happens, and I think the singing stopped, or maybe the bowl stopped, or something stopped. And then the veil was like lifted off of me. And then I was clear-headed, and I opened my eyes, and I looked around. I'm like, where am I? And I'm sitting in the grass. I'm like, what? What's everybody doing? What? Oh, crap. And I kind of stand up, and I couldn't stand, right? My legs were shaking, and somebody was pulling at me, and I was walking. I was trying to get my bearings. Like, what just happened to me? This shit is real. Right? That's what I was thinking. Like, oh man. So this is what everybody is talking about. Anyway, so I'm trying to walk, and somebody's pulling on me from this side and pulling on me. So Jimmy, what, like, man, I need a minute or 30. I gotta figure that out. But anyway, the first time that happened, it was cool, but it scared me because that was involuntary. Okay. I wasn't looking to do that. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was just sitting in the grass, hanging out with my friends with some singing bowls. Okay. All right. Boom. And I didn't know. I guess the honest answer is I didn't know if I wanted to learn how to do that again. That I saw the experience, I went through the experience, I saw what was possible, but that was good enough for me. I'm more trying to figure out everything else about this reality, right? So now I know that part of it is real, that everybody talks about, and that the experience was all that I needed to expose myself to that other dimension. But it was incredible. It was incredible. Scared the crap out of me. Now, and I know I've talked to you about this today as friends. I achieve a version of this on my Harley. You know what I mean? That's my meditation. That's
there.
me
It is.
getting it.
Yes.
I do it.
Yes.
I do it on my Harley. I do it on my Harley.
Timelessness.
Yeah.
Right.
I do it on
There
my
is
Harley.
no time.
I
You're
do it on
just
my
in
own.
this transcendent state. Speaking of transcendence, one of the reasons I call my retreat Transcendence Retreat. You achieve a state of transcendence where there is no time. Whether, you're doing something that you thoroughly enjoy, like riding your Harley. I'm now loving riding horses. I live out here on this
Mhm.
horse ranch in San Diego. I do not care what time it is when I am with my beautiful
Right.
horses. I
Same
am
thing.
in another reality. And nothing matters except being present with
That's
these
right. That's
magnificent
right.
animals.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, my steed is my Harley. And but it's the same thing. And I thought about this. I wonder if I could get a group of my riding friends, these hard ass black leather wearing, dudes and dudettes, right? And we get together and have our little Harley meditation circle. We talk about fairies and what is possible. Because I know that we all have these same thoughts. We do. Look, I'm wearing a Kiss t-shirt, right? You know what I mean? But fairies are real. And I'm talking about these things that sound so phenomenal, but this is part of the journey, and I've experienced it, I've seen it, and I'm just trying to figure it out, and that's the purpose of the show and having you on. I think it's so important. We're getting closer, aren't we? We're really getting closer to understanding the phenomenon.
Right? It's the meaning and purpose of life is usually why people step onto the path. Like I said, there could be some, defining event that makes people suddenly awaken. But oftentimes people are, living their lives sort of robotically, right? Going through the steps, going to work, coming home, having dinner, going to bed, and suddenly they, come to the realization, what is the meaning and purpose of all of this? There must be a deeper meaning and greater purpose to this incarnation, right? And
Yes.
then they start searching, right? They start searching for it. And that's usually what sets them on a spiritual path. And or it could be religious, what have you. But they're seeking something greater than themselves and some explanation about why they're here, where they came from, and where they're going, right? Seeking answers. But
I
sometimes
love
you
that.
get them from extraterrestrial
Mm,
beings,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
Because in all of these tomes of thousands of pages, they're channeling higher beings in higher realms that are more advanced, from more advanced civilizations, who are reaching down to give us some answers,
It's
right?
true though. It's true. And at least for me, on my side of it, but so many go through the same exact experience. You don't necessarily have to uh, have information come to you from ET telling you the answers to everything. That's not the most magical part. The most magical part is seeing something that you can't explain, where you go back and go, well, I guess we've been lied to, because that is what I'm going to try to figure out. You only need to see that crazy thing or experience that crazy thing to know that you've been lied to your entire life. And
Right.
there's something else going on. Right? That's all you need
Right.
is confirmation of that.
And this just sets the stage, right?
It
This is
sets
just
the
giving you
stage.
some intel.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. It
when
sets
you
the stage.
read it and then you go out into the reality and you're like, whoa, Sirius is the headquarters for all the in-streaming consciousness, right?
You know what my
It
connection?
shifts your perspective and you see reality in a new and different way all the time, right?
You know where my connection is to the stars? I don't know if I've ever said this. Maybe I have. Orion's belt. That's what catches my attention. That's what I look at. That's what I see. It's not everything, and I know what's going on. right, in the star for the most part. I research, but it's Orion's belt that
Yeah,
I look at
definitely.
and that I feel connected to. I don't know why. I don't know why, but
Oh,
it's
it's
Orion's belt.
significant. My father was so into Orion's belt growing up. He would
Really?
point to it. Oh, yeah. It was always looking for Orion, and there's only a certain time of year when it's
I know
really
it's my
overhead.
let me tell you something, Suzanne. When it comes back, it's like my friend.
Yeah,
Oh,
the cowboy
there's
in the
that.
sky, right? He's
Yeah,
got
yeah.
that cool belt on
Mhm.
with a
Yep.
big three, belt buckles there, right?
Yeah.
And you just know
Yeah.
they're friggin' portals. I'm
Yeah.
like, they're portals. And my
I feel
husband
it.
and I, we go RVing out in the Superstition Mountains, right? And he pulls his toy hauler with a dune buggy, and it's so much fun. But at night, there's no artificial light, and it's in the winter when Orion's belt is overhead, and we're looking up at the sky, and I kid you not, every time there's like a blue ship on one side and a red ship on the other. They're always there. They're like the gatekeepers. It's a trip.
Yeah, it's a
But
oh man, Orion's belt. And you're right about that. You only get that visit, half of the year. But when it starts appearing right on the horizon, and I'll just watch it as it passes over all night, and I am glued to it. I cannot take my eyes off of it. I walk outside just excited to look
yeah,
up at Orion's belt. And you know what? I really don't care if people don't understand what we're talking about and they hear this and they dismiss it like we're not. I don't care. I love it. I love
well,
it. It
I
is a
mean, let's
very
face it.
peaceful thing to go through.
It's very significant. Look, the three pyramids at Giza were built to be totally in alignment with the three belt stars of Orion. We know
I,
this, right?
I think
All of
it's
these people
awesome.
have come out. Robert Bauval,
Yeah. Mhm.
they've aligned it right over the three most significant pyramids on the planet, which happen to be the center of the planet. It is. I don't know how they describe it, how Robert describes it, but literally that point of the Giza pyramid is like the center of the planet. So
Well, when
clearly they're very significant, Orion.
yeah, when you use a computer today with uh, software for the cosmos, and you back up the timeline, and you go and you lie down on the Giza plateau, and if you were looking up, Orion's belt would have been directly above the pyramids at that time. I've been over uh, it today. It's off. It's not the same as it was back then. But when you
Mhm,
back it
mhm,
up,
sure.
I forget the name of the program that he used. But
Mhm.
anyway, when you back it up, yeah, and people go, "Well, it's mirror." It's not mirror, dude. Lay down. You have to lay down and look at it, and then do the comparison. But yeah, it's fascinating, and I don't know why. I'm not. And I have everything above me. I live in the Mojave Desert, right? I've got the Milky Way moving over my house every night.
Love it,
Yeah, it's
right?
great. But I'm not emotionally attached to anything except for Orion's belt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't I don't know
Me
why.
too.
But
No, that's pretty central for me as well. Yep.
yeah.
Orion's belt. And that Milky Way galaxy, I mean, it reminds me of Egypt too, and how like the Nile lines up with the Milky Way galaxy
Yeah,
back in
it's
the day when it
it's
was
fascinating.
aligned. Right?
Where
Right?
can ever
As
work
above, so below. It's a
that's right. That's right.
reflection projection all day long.
Where can everybody go and get your books?
Oh, thank you. Suzanne Ross, transcendence.com. Wake Up, Rise Up, Lighten Up's coming out next year. It's the Up trilogy, mostly channeled material. The Wake Up is a 10-day life lessons workshop. Rise Up is a 10-day ascension adventure. Lighten Up is a 10-day spiritual retreat.
Thank you so much. What a great conversation. We waited too long to do this, but I do look forward to our next one. And of course, I'll see you down there in San Diego on the 27th. And it's going to be an amazing weekend. So just thank you so much, Suzanne. behave and be well. We've got links up for both the retreat and Suzanne's website. We've got them up in the chat on our website and throughout social media. Suzanne, thank you so much, and I'll see you in about 5 weeks down there.
Can't wait to see you, Jimmy. Thanks so much for having me on. Love y'all. Mwah.
The very
Night.
best. Suzanne Ross, everybody. Thank you, Suzanne. And now I'm going to get out of here. Want to remind everybody what I am doing tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is Riz Burke is back with us. And I was with Riz a couple of weeks ago with Suzanne. And Riz and I were sitting outside with a bunch of our friends talking. And I had said something to our group. I said, man, I wish that everybody could have the opportunity to just sit down with Riz and have this conversation. He's absolutely incredible. So we're going to do that tomorrow night. We'll probably laugh about me saying that to a group of friends, but it's really true. So Riz Burke returns tomorrow night. We're going to be talking about all of this, our reality and living in a simulation and so much more. That is tomorrow night. I want to thank Suzanne Ross. We've got her links up again on our website, in the chat, and throughout social media. It's right there. And I'll see everybody in San Diego on the 27th. There you go. I'll see everybody tomorrow night. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. But for now, all I've got is go back, Lee Tappy. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Special thanks to Bill, John, Dex, Jessica, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2024 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Go back, Lee Tappy.